Hey guys, it's Pavel and
Evan.
we're two guys talking hockey. How you doing, Evan?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm great. I'm still traveling this beautiful, beautiful country. I am in Saskatoon, province over. Yeah, visiting a little bit, staying safe, but enjoying the travels with the wife. Yeah, it's been too good. Have a little fun fact about Saskatoon when we were doing some research. So,
Okay.
fun fact.
Okay.
Mr. Bill Hunter was an NHL ice hockey player back in the day. And in 1982, he tried to acquire the St. Louis Blues to move here to be the Saskatoon Blues. But the NHL blocked the deal. Now, he was also part of the WHA, the Western Hockey Association,
Correct. Yeah.
which brought in the Alberta Oilers, later becoming the Edmonton Oilers. So he's a big guy in Canadian hockey. And it's funny because who knows what would have happened if that deal was approved in 1982? Would we be celebrating Saskatoon Blues Stanley Cup as of last year? As you know, we had the St. Louis Blues win. So that was a really cool fun fact. As you all know, there's a lot of players from Saskatchewan and Saskatoon. Some of the notable names are, Todd McClellan, Mike Babcock, Braden Hopley, who's on the trade list. So we have some big names. So it's exciting to know a little bit of the piece of history. And they also took on Edmonton's Rush lacrosse team.
Yes.
There's some really good hockey players like Wayne Gretzky. I think Marlo Lemieux who played lacrosse. Matthew Barzal, Tyler Sagan, all big lacrosse guys, and it helps with that hand-eye coordination. So it's pretty cool. But how are you doing?
You ever been to a live lacrosse game?
I have. Yeah, I went to see Edmonton Rush a couple times.
Man.
It was really fun.
Yeah,
I'm kind of disappointed.
In-game presentation, loved it. I think the NHL has a lot to learn with in-game presentation. And I'm going to say this. I know we'll talk a little later about Las Vegas. Las Vegas's in-game presentation is becoming known everywhere. And this whole hockey traditionalists that say that presentation can only fly in Vegas, well, they can fly off because, man, that could fly here in Edmonton. They're just too much of traditionalists. You can take if you can take fighting out of hockey like they're trying, you can definitely start bringing in-game presentation. Games are as boring as anything in between the actual play. They got to do more. So
100%.
We can talk about that another time.
We can. But
Saskatoon, so I think it's called Sask Place now is the name of the place. So, yes, they built that arena in hopes. I remember when I was young, one of the things is they built that arena in hopes that they would attract an NHL franchise because they said you have to have an arena.
Yes.
Now, hello,
and
Quebec. And hello, Quebec. Yeah. I mean, they went out and they got the arena and then they get sidetracked, right? So hopefully they get a relocation team on the next
I think they will. I don't know if the NHL is going to push more for Houston, but I think if a team like Florida, West. Who knows what will happen going,
Yeah, but I think Houston will be a West. I almost wonder, any team in the East that gets relocated, they look for an Eastern team. Any team in the West, because they are about to be as close to parity as they can for East-West separation.
100%.
So
anyway. Lots of news coming out. We're down to the Final Four. We've got some trade rumors, some stuff happening out of Arizona and Calgary. So, Evan, take us off. Where are we starting first?
So let's start with the Arizona Coyotes, the circus of the NHL. It's amazing, all this excitement around the Seattle franchise coming in, seeing how Vegas has excelled. Man, the Coyotes cannot get off the ground. They are savage trying to build a team down there, and it's especially the ownership. It seems like they're always picking the wrong owners. The NHL tried to step in for years there and then sell it off, and it goes from one thing to another. So let's walk around. What have you heard on the Taylor Hall situation?
So I heard that they have met with Taylor Hall again. They're
second
meeting
time,
with Dan.
Right?
Second time.
Yeah.
They've offered him a pretty good deal. Again, it's I think 7 years by 7.5, something like that, 7.5 million. And I think what they're saying, per most people's reporting, including Elliot Friedman's, is that that's the most he's going to get. If he goes to the open market, it's okay. And he did make comments, I think, last week saying it's not all about the money. He has been paid, and he made a good chunk of change in Edmonton for 6x6, which, all the young guys got paid, and, they're coming up on their re-signing, like Eberle and Nuge next year. So they got paid. And I think Hall just wants to win. And he loves the limelight and the spotlight. And one of the places he's really interested in is playing in a Canadian market. Now, given everything that's happening in most markets, Vancouver is going to be cap strapped. Edmonton has its own thing. I think it comes down to Calgary and Montreal. And Montreal had a great quick run. They have a good, bright future. They have two centers. They could use some wingers for Nick Suzuki and Kakanyemi. But, maybe it's Calgary. Maybe there's time for a change. They can't get out of round one. What does Brad Treliving do? What are your thoughts?
It's interesting because so many pieces to the puzzle for other teams are going to be affected by what happens for the Coyotes down in Arizona. Let's stick with that. I have heard that there's been from 3 different sources. Some were a little more reliable than others. As I found out with EA Sports on my source, by the way, I don't trust that source anymore. They were so confident McKinnon was getting it, but that's another story. So anyway, these guys are saying that Hall has a great interest in Calgary. So if you're a Calgary fan, you're going to love that. I do have to say, they got Kachuk and they got Goudreau. So unless Goudreau is going somewhere else, which I'll come to in just a sec, there's no way he's going to Calgary. But I could see Montreal would be a good fit. Friedman's mentioned on it. Darren Drager's had some discussions because they know that Hall likes the markets. He enjoyed his time in Edmonton. He'll enjoy his time in a hotbed in a city like Montreal. They need offense. Now they need a center, a really top-end number 1 center. But, they need they need scoring wingers. So I would say that definitely when it comes to the 2 teams, who has more money also and could be competitive if he feels that they did well this year and their defense is growing. And if they go after Pietrangelo, they could sign him and they could sign Hall. That team could be so different, and maybe even a trade for Ty Domi. Not Ty Domi, I'm sorry, his son Max Domi. You can tell my age. I'm kind of aging myself talking about Ty. So let's go back, though. You're talking about the Coyotes. So it sounds like because maybe they're waiting to see if Hall will sign, but if he doesn't, they got to do something. So what we're hearing is that Ekman Larson, he's got, what is it on his contract? See,
8 by 8.5 or 8 by 8, something like that.
Are you going to pay him till he's 36, 37, that kind of money? He's good. So they might get rid of him if they can get something. If they can get some assets. I don't know if there's a trade, but that's more we can talk. But Darcy Kemper. Yes. So Darcy Kemper's name. We'll slide off on another team in just a few moments here. But, the Coyotes have to make some decisions there. So what do you think? What do you think they're going to do in Calgary?
In Calgary. So I think Brad Treliving is on a short leash. And I think they need to change something up. It looks like their bottom guys are really coming up. Rasmus Anderson looks great in the playoffs.
Yeah.
What's his name? Elias
Lindholm?
Elias Lindholm was a good trade. He did okay. I think Monahan and Goudreau need a shakeup.
Yeah.
I don't think Monahan is a top-line center in the NHL. I really don't. I think he's a second-line center at best, like a Nugent Hopkins, and he's good, but he doesn't do it. And as people have said, you have guys who get you to the playoffs and then they get you to the cup.
Yeah.
And Calgary has a lot of players that get you to the playoffs and then get you to the cup. They don't have a lot. Like Sam Bennett played unreal. He had one of the best coming out parties. He really strong. Cam Talbot played unreal. David Riddick wasn't even visible. Another tandem there where David Riddick seemed like the number 1 starter, and then Cam took over and played unreal. Right? I don't even blame him for that series against Dallas. I think they need to trade something. The problem is that Calgary has a bunch of expiring old contracts like Giordano. TJ Brody's coming up. He's going to be a UFA, I think, this summer or this fall. Sorry, this whole year is crazy.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what they got to do, but they got to do something because they have all these old expiring contracts. They have a lot of guys coming up. They still have Lucic, who, albeit he performed very well in the playoffs, had a good run.
He had a great playoff.
Yeah. I think he had like 7, 5 or point in almost every game for 5 games straight, and then a break, and then one. He was unreal. He was doing really well.
He was keeping up with James
Tobias Reeder, who couldn't score the goal ever in Edmonton, somehow had all these shorthanded goals against Dallas and all these other teams. So I don't know where he found his scoring touch, but clearly it was down south. So maybe Edmonton was just too cold.
Let me quote. Yeah, he gave him cold hands. This is a quote from Johnny Gaudreau. Fried, and this is some of the stuff from Friedman as well, but it was quoted in papers. He says, to be honest, I hear it every once in a while now. And he's referring to hearing his name out there in the trade rumors. That's what he told the local reporters. And he says, but Calgary is like a second home to me. It's a team I could see myself playing for the rest of my career. And this is the other part. He says, that's the kind of market you want to be in. The fans, he says, they just want you to do well. And everywhere you go, he goes, every team you play for, they're going to have hard times and they're going to have unhappy people. So Johnny said all the right things, but if Hall is a possibility, you can get assets for Johnny. You know you're going to have to up the contract for Johnny. So could this be like when we knew that Taylor Hall went out and Lucic came in? Could there be something happening in that? I know we've been talking about this, but it almost anytime people, it's like politics. Anytime that someone says, "Oh, they're doing wonderful, everything's good," it's like that's the new modern day smoke. That means the fire, and there's a fire sale going on.
Let's be honest, Evan. What player, except for Eric Lindros, is going to say, "I don't want to play there," right? And you look how that turned out. That fiasco with the Quebec Nordiques. So, I mean, at the end of the day, most players are not going to say they want to get traded because it's a big rep thing. You're trying to. It's a business. You're trying to sell jerseys. You're trying to sell tickets. You're trying to sell success story. No player has the guts to say. I mean, maybe like McKinnon, the top 5 players, McKinnon, McDavid. Tavares got a say of where he wanted to go, and there was some angry fallout there with New York Islanders fans, but they could say where they want to go and say maybe it wasn't a good fit or it was toxic environment. And even Hall made some comments after. We'll always hear things at the end of a career when a book comes out, but I think Calgary needs a shakeup, and I think they need a big blockbuster trade this summer. I don't think it's their goaltending and their what's it called, defense. I think it's their forward group, and it's their top 6. That's what I think.
So let's come back to another one then and switch up north here to Edmonton, because now for those that watch Oilers Now with Bob Stauffer, so one of the things that people believe, whether it's true or not, no one really knows, but they believe that when Stauffer starts throwing around ideas, it's almost a way of feeling out the market and their thoughts on it before anything gets put out there. Again, that's just a rumor. That's just people fabricating. But most times it seems to come. So he's a little bit in the in. So he came up with the thought when he was talking with Mark Spector on the Stauffer on his show on Oilers Now. And he referred to, would you give up with Darcy Kemper if he is made available in the market? Would you give up the 14th overall, the first round draft pick, with possibly someone, because you got to bring salary back because he's going to be at $4.5 million. They can't have 2 goalies at $4.5 million without clearing up salary somewhere, with maybe a deal that would include someone like Kurt Russell going down to Arizona because he only has $1.5 million on his cap, even as actual money, even though it's around a $4 million cap, which the Coyotes could possibly entertain if they do make a move also on someone like Oliver Ekman-Larsson. And maybe an extra round pick later on, a 5th or a 6th. So he asked, would you do it?
So I say yes.
This doesn't make for very good podcast. I agree.
I'm sorry. I only say I do it for one reason. And I get that the 14th pick could be a high quality caliber player, and we have a deep draft.
They say that,
But you look at what Vancouver did with JT Miller from Tampa Bay, and look how far Vancouver got for what they were able to pick up. And JT Miller was an excellent top 6 forward, if not top guy there, right? Helping Elias Pettersson and Bo Horvat and getting all those guys going. And sometimes the players like McDavid and Draisaitl don't want to hear about draft picks in the future, what's going to be in 10 years, 5 years from now. They want to win now.
Yeah.
And I think Holland has a 5-year plan. He's got to do something. I think Darcy Kemper would be a good pickup. However, I don't want to pick up Oliver Ekman-Larsson. And the reason being, and don't at me, fans and Coyotes, is the fact that the guy signed a long-term deal, which is good. It shows that you want to commit to that place, like the way Ottawa had recently with Thomas Chabot, and you want to keep players. But a guy who doesn't seem to want to 100% win, he just wants to comfortably retire and kind of just play. I don't know if I want that kind of guy in my locker room. Right? No, I'm not saying he would, but he just wants the comfort of the sunny life, the golf life, and the player. And again, I'm sure he's a great player, but He wouldn't
Yeah,
sign that long-term contract, and I think he has a no movement clause or like a limited movement clause of
I,
only a couple
I believe
teams.
so.
So,
I'm not
so
sure exactly how it sits, but you're right. Yeah, and it's one of those things that I guess it's what do you give up and how do you fit them in. So
yeah.
here's another thing for Edmonton. One last thing. We know that Cervelli has put on his trade list Larson as a possibility. He's got 1 year left. We know that there's been interest in the past from the Leafs. One of the things that has been brought up, because he's in the number 15 slot, is what
Mm-hmm.
Cervelli put him in. But yeah, the big part it's looking like is that the team that's very interested is more so the Leafs, depending on what else happens for what they're going after, because they want that right-hand shot. And on a team, and I think it's proven in the rounds, if you look at Zach Bogosian even in Tampa, having a defensive stalwart when you got other offensive guys is always a
Yes.
positive. And so anyway, one of the things that Dustin Nielsen talked about on 1260 is that there has been discussion about Matt Murray. So we know that Matt Murray's name's been out there, but now we're kind of getting it that it is. So we've heard Ranta, we've heard Murray, and the possibility of
You mean
speculation.
Kemper or
And
Ranta?
no, both. So
Okay.
Ranta, just because they may need to unload, but is he injury prone? So could he be a 1A, 1B with Koskinen?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that's one of the three goalies. If they don't bring Smith back, one of those three, if they can make it happen. But there is been interest again from Edmonton on Tyson Barrie when he's a UFA. It's going to really depend on the market. But
No,
hey, we're going to see. He's a right-hand shot that can move around like Benning, but
that's
actually,
true.
but it's going to have to be, fairly cap friendly. We got about 2 more minutes to cover some stuff. So here's one of the other ones. Let's go to Montreal. We talked about Ty Domi. What's happening with Ty Domi right
Max
now?
Domi.
Max Domi. Man, I am aging myself again. I keep talking about Ty.
So Max Domi got a new agent recently. Didn't like what his former agent was. The name escapes him, but he picked up Dan Ferris, who is also of Taylor Hall fame, as his new thing. Now he hasn't requested a trade from from Montreal Canadiens, but it seems like he really regressed in Montreal this year, even though he had a good breakout season, and he
Yeah,
even got put down to the third and fourth line, which I don't think that's where Max Domi is. He can be a top 6 guy if you let him, even a top 9 guy, but to be on
yeah,
the fourth line, not the best thing. So
yeah.
I would say Edmonton should take a hard look because he is a right-hand defenseman, and he can come here and play and be
Centerman?
on the third line. Centerman, sorry, centerman.
Centerman, yeah.
Sorry. Now I'm getting confused. He could be a right-handed centerman, and that's something Edmonton needs. And then you can drop Sheahan down to the fourth line, which would be perfect, right? And you can get rid of an older contract. For example, Chason, who is from the Montreal area, has 1 year left and can go over there for something, again, part of a trade, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Montreal has the cap space to move over him. I also think Montreal picked up Jake Allen to dangle as a trade for something else, because I don't think they're going to leave $15 million in net for that
Oh,
season.
my goodness.
Like, I don't see how that's going to happen. I mean, it could be. I'm
Yeah.
not saying, but I think it's going to be, to give Carey Price a break, but to trade him off. But back to Domi. Go ahead. Sorry, I was just going to say that I think he's going to be very sought after because he has a lot of upside. That's all.
Yeah.
And Edmonton should look at him because his contract could be a good amount in our books.
Yeah, he would fit really well into what they're molding. And I know there's been some suggestions about, the RFA of Andrea Athanasiou and looking also, like you had said,
Yes.
at a couple other players that maybe like Joachim Nygaard.
Yes.
A couple more depth players for the team in Montreal if they were able to get something. But who knows where they're going to be looking and searching. So something else that is interesting, you just talked about Jake Allen. He's off the market. So I got it listed here, 12 unrestricted free agent goalies this year, and 6 are being rumored for trade.
Right.
This is not the year to be a goalie, to be getting some big contract deals. There's going to be some heavy competition. So
good on Bobrovsky for getting that big deal.
Could be, yeah, and that was a big deal. Who do you think will be the first goalie to fall that's going to start the whole commotion? We obviously, not much is going to happen till the end of the playoffs, but who will be the goalie that goes first?
See, I don't think so, because we've already had a couple of trades happen. Toronto and Pittsburgh already traded. The Kapanen went.
So goalie market, besides Jake Allen, the goalie market. I'm talking
honestly.
Specifically, you don't think
I could see? No, I think so. I think maybe Murray would be my first bet,
Yeah.
but I don't know if there's deals. I mean, I feel bad for teams that are still in because
Yeah.
Grice is another one that's going to be available,
I
right?
know, and he's still playing.
And he's still playing, right? And you've got some other players. I mean, Vasilevsky's not going anywhere, but he has to re-sign next year with Tampa Bay. So I mean, this is their chance. So
Well, we're going to have to get into our playoff talk here, but before we do, let me ask the last thing with goalies. So Vancouver, they have a
yes,
dilemma.
yes,
We're going to talk about the play of Thatcher Demko. The
yeah.
guy has, I mean, he set some history books in this playoff round. He has come up. Now, the big piece is Markstrom is a UFA. Everyone's made an assumption. They're going to find a way. They're going to open up the account, and they're going to do their best in negotiation and sign him. Would you sign this guy when you think you got a young guy like Thatcher and you are still a rebuilding team that's already showed how far you can go?
Yes.
Why would
I
you sign
always
Jacob?
because he had an unreal season. And 2 to 3 games for Demko isn't a whole lot of consensus for a whole season of how he's going to perform. They were playing one team only. Who knows what's going to happen in the future with the
Yeah.
season? How he feels, how he fits in. We're seeing this with Murray right now too, right? Murray and Fleury had a tandem for the playoffs, and he played unreal, and yet he's struggled in the last 2 seasons, and now he's being traded.
But
Do
did
you
you
really
not?
want to give up on
But
Markstrom,
but
who is a solid goalie? Sorry, go
did you?
ahead.
Yeah, no. Did you not say though that you would keep Tristan Jarry over Matt Murray? But
I
Matt
would.
Murray has
I
a
would.
track record like Markstrom. He's played much better. He's won Stanley Cups, and yet you'd keep Markstrom just because you're worried that he's not well proven.
And the reason being is because Penguins' defense is way better than what the Vancouver Canucks had. Vancouver's is a good defense, but not what the Pittsburgh had for. They had Chris Letang. Give me a top defenseman for Vancouver right now. Who would be in the top 50 in defensemen right now? Is
Like,
it Myers? Yeah,
oh
right
yeah.
now.
Well, right
Who's
now
their
I'm going to
top?
put I'm putting Quentin Hughes in the top 10
But
for
he's a
defensemen.
rookie. He's a
He
rookie. He's
he
in
might
his
be a
first
rookie.
year.
He might be a rookie, but the guy is amazing.
100%.
Tyler Myers stabilized Winnipeg. He stabilized Vancouver. But I will say they're rookies. They're young, which tells me that Thatcher has done more with less than what actually Murray did with more. So
Mm,
that's why I'm going with Thatcher. I'm going to let Markstrom walk and,
mm.
and and pick the Marcus. I'm going with Demko.
No, bad choice. You have a guy, he's a little older, yeah. You give him maybe, I know he was asking for 4 years, and I think Vancouver was going no more than 3. I think they wanted at
Yeah,
2. And I get it. He's at that age. And of course, with the goalie market, they can get something
yeah,
else cheap. But the problem is Markstrom got you to the playoffs and got you to as far. Demko played 2 games in the playoffs,
yeah,
okay? So to me, I think Demko, as unreal as he played in those 2 games, it also showed the team did not play in front of him well because they couldn't even shoot. So as much as I love Vancouver, I have friends and some fellow what's it called fellow watchers of this show who hate Vancouver, whereas my wife
yeah,
is from Vancouver, my brothers-in-law are from Vancouver, and
yeah,
they're big fans.
yeah,
You know, like I love Vancouver and what they've brought. But and I
yeah,
get it. They have a lot of contracts to sign. They have some big names. They have to
yeah,
re-sign Hughes, Pedersen. They have some other names coming up. But I'm
yeah.
sorry, what's it called? Demko isn't proven to me after 2 games.
Well,
That's just my opinion.
I'm not taking Markstrom for anything over $5 million on a contract because I need to keep Demko around at half and a half,
100%.
like Smith and. But you're not sign. He's not going to sign for 5. The guy's going to demand
No.
$7 million.
Also,
And
you can't protect Demko if you sign Markstrom for the expansion for Seattle. And do you really want that to go? Right? That's another thing you got to
that's a
consider.
possible thought. But
So
I'm running. I think I'm letting him go, and I'm going to take a different route, and I'm going to use some of that money because we got some guys to sign that are going to be pretty big contracts. So, well,
now,
we are past. We're going to have to get into our playoff talk here. Go ahead.
quickly,
One
but
last
just
thought.
one last thought. So there was a little bit of a rumor spread that the Vancouver Canucks had to pay the NHL $45,000 because the Vancouver team, after that game that Demko won them, the first one, was given 2 strippers from Edmonton to come into the bubble and I guess party with Demko. So clearly it worked, and maybe they did it again for the second game because he was making unreal saves. So that just came out. It was a little hush hush, but I know it was reported in Edmonton, and it was in the comments section after some of the wins when they won Game 6 versus the
So,
Golden Knights.
so I have one thing to say, and we'll end with this and go to our playoff talk. So Dave Hodges, Coach's Corner. Okay, we better now, and just so everyone knows, it's a rumor. That's what we've heard. We're not going out and saying we saw them with our own eyes, but very possible. It looks like this happened. So
all I want to say is that if the book comes out in 10 years from now and it's reported, you heard it here first. So just
right
say
that. You heard it on Two Guys and Hockey Talk.
So playoffs are in.
Let's go.
We got down to 4 teams.
We got 6 minutes, man. Let's cover it. Okay, let's talk Vancouver, Vegas. Vancouver, Vegas.
Vancouver's out. You're talking about
no. I just quickly want to hit on that series.
Okay, go ahead.
Unbelievable. Blew my mind. I wanted Vancouver to win. I think they would have got annihilated the next round. They were not ready. The team isn't there. Demko got them there. But, man, that's playoff hockey. That was exciting. But
I think Vancouver had a lot of chops, and they responded well, but they needed to go the extra mile. And like I said, they didn't put enough shots on what's it called? On Robin Lehter. However, that save, I don't know if you saw that save on Bo Horvat. That was unreal.
It was. But did you see Demko's saves, man? Okay. Yeah. All right, last series Colorado and Dallas. Now, I like the Vancouver Vegas, but that was the underdog, the goalie, the story of. But man, Colorado, no Landeskog, no Eric Johnson, no Grubauer. I mean, they were playing with a broken down team, and they came back and right to the overtime. That was insane. It usually this round doesn't get the same hockey that you get in the first round, and so.
Controversy. Do you give up on Grubauer because he's injured and you sign Hutchinson, a young goalie from Toronto?
Nope. I think they're going after a goalie in the market. They got money. They're going to be going after one of the big ones. If Vegas does not take in Lehner, I see them going after Lehner.
Do you not think Pavel Francois is good enough? Not only because he has an amazing name.
No, I do think he's probably I'm guessing 2-3 years away from taking some more. That's why Hutchinson is going to get Anyway, but great series. Good.
You know what I want to say, because this has been a debate that's been going on for a little bit. People were talking about rekindling the fire of who's the better player, McDavid or McKinnon, and how McKinnon got the team. Hockey is not an individual team game. It's not. It's not football. It's not basketball. If you're watching right now and seeing what some of the players like, what's it called, LeBron James, or James Harden is doing against the Lakers, with the Rockets.
Yeah.
It is a team sport, and so you can debate the merits of the skill between McDavid and McKinnon. McKinnon is more older, veteran, trains with Sidney Crosby, has that skill. But McDavid puts up points like no one's business. And you know what? It's the team around them that makes them better. It's an all-around team. And you know why that is? Because look at the 4 teams left in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, and if you want to go by points per game since the play-in started, McDavid still had 2.24 in those few games that he did play. And he was just warming up. He was just getting going. I think it was ridiculous, but I will say that Nathan McKinnon, I think, has elevated himself above Crosby right now as that all-around player, which is kind of cool. So, okay, let's quickly go. We didn't recap, so we're just going to jump. I just want to say, Philadelphia fans, hold strong. I know it looked like it came down. There were some things, but the team was not even meant to be where it is right now.
So, boo-hoo. Yes, they were. They were the best. Devin, you don't know what you're talking about. Philadelphia Flyers are the best. Okay?
No one knows that Pavel likes them, do you?
No, what? What are you talking about? Okay, I'm sorry. We had a young goalie, Carter Hart, and he played as best as he could.
He was good.
Our forwards, Kevin Hayes, proved himself. He was an elite. Konechny was really good. Yeah. And I got to say, Oscar Lindblom coming back from cancer and playing was a solid, beautiful performance. I loved it. You know what I think the Flyers didn't do?
What's that?
You're calling me?
Yeah.
Hello. You know what they didn't do? They didn't use their physicality. That's what they're known for. They got to play like the gritty Broad Street bullies, and they didn't do that.
Hello, Sean Couturier. Is this Sean Couturier? You were missing from the last game. Hello. That's all I can say. Okay. Oh, by the way, James Van Riemsdyk, $7 million. If they can unload him, maybe they go after Hall. Anyway, thought.
Okay.
Okay, so let's give it to the Islanders. No one
100%.
expected this. We talked last week about Trotz, man, walking these guys through. So Tampa Islanders. What do you see happening? We only got a couple minutes left. 1 minute.
I'm going for Islanders. I love the underdog story. I love the team that hasn't been in the Eastern Conference Finals since '93 and the Stanley Cup Finals since '84.
Wow.
So I love it. They're getting into that thing. They're a team that plays defensively, but somehow who people could complain they couldn't score, they are scoring. They are getting everyone to score. And our very own ex-Oiler alumni, Jordan Eberle, is playing unreal. And people complain about him. I liked him. I wish he was still here. Yeah. I'm sorry. We ran him out of town. He is good. And I would like to see New York Islanders hoist the cup, especially everything going on there with their arena and everything else. And as much as I love Tampa Bay, it's the underdog that I'm cheering for. I know Tampa Bay is good. I don't know if Steve Stamkos is going to play. They're doing well without him. And this is going to go to show if Tampa Bay does play, do they trade Steve Stamkos in the offseason? Or is he done? I mean, what's going to happen, right? You know, we can discuss the merits of whether he gets his name on the cup. I don't know if, if Tampa Bay has the push to get over the edge, even if they go to the final.
Really?
I really don't, right? And it's not Vasilevsky. I just think that Islanders are going to play a better solid defenseman. That's me. Your take.
I'm taking Tampa in 6 games. They're just powerful, and they're doing it without Stamkos. Their game as well. I think that they have the type of team that fits well against playing the Islanders. That's just my opinion. But I will say this. I want to make a call to Cicerelli. to
Anthony Cirelli?
No. Guys, I am so sorry. My mind's gone blank. I want to talk to the former GM of the Oilers who would not pick Matthew Barzal. That's all I want to say. You had no plan. Chiarelli, there's his name. I can't stand the guy now with what he did to the team. Okay, so I want to call and say, what was in your mind that you did not even think about drafting Barzal? Because that was the talk, that they wouldn't have drafted him anyway. The guy was the number 1 pick even in the Bantam draft, from the Bantam draft into the WHL even in his day. It's like, come on. Anyway, I think that series, the way it's going to. Let's move over quickly to Vegas. We're past our time. Vegas and Dallas. I think that this is an incredible matchup, but I do not see Dallas being able to go past Vegas. There's just no way. Vegas is loaded. They may not have superstars, but they have team play and structure, and they are deep. I think Dallas is about to meet its maker.
I disagree. I think Dallas is going all the way. I think it's been a depth playing team. And as much as I love Vegas Golden Knights and what they bring, they're missing Ryan Reeves. And so that's going to hurt them. And Leonard looked shaky. Now, both teams were down 3-1.
Shaky?
But Dallas.
How did he look shaky? He was keeping them in the game.
He lost 2 of the 3 games. They were up 3-1. They were up 3-1. They could have closed it off.
It's called Thatcher Demko.
He got replaced by Fleury and all that in one game.
Okay? Anyway,
and Fleury won that game 3. So, no, Robin Leonard has been playing amazing. I'm just saying that, there was moments and saves in 2 of the games. I think it was game 4 and game 6 that he did not look his best, and Vancouver came out swinging. What is it, 4-0 they won game 6? Like, come on, Leonard. Come on, right? But he did win after that. So you want some controversy? Leonard's good, but he's not Flower good. Oh, hot take.
Guys, we got to call it a wrap here. We want to thank you guys for joining us here at Two Guys in Hockey Talk. I'm Evan.
I'm Pavel.
And we'll see you next week. Keep your stick on the ice.
Thanks for joining us. Like, comment, and subscribe. We love hearing from you guys. We can't wait. Put your prediction below. Who do you think is going to the finals? And who do you think is taking and hoisting the cup?
Woohoo! In the meantime. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, in the meantime, keep your stick on the ice.
And in the meantime, in between time, that's it for another edition of Two Guys in Hockey Talk. Have a great day, guys.